Okay, so I'm going to talk about the latest developments in autosomal testing. As Graham says, this is a field that moves at breakneck speed, and clearly there will be things in the book that are already out of date, and there have been lots of developments since I wrote the autosomal chapter in the book. So I'm just going to quickly go over a few of those. I'm going to talk about the developments at the main testing companies, at Ancestry, at 23andMe, MyHeritage, Family Tree DNA, Living DNA, and a little tiny bit about some third-party tools that have come along. So, Ancestry. The bulk of the changes that have occurred, new features that have come around, have actually been at Ancestry in the last year or so. First off, there have been 2 ethnicity updates. Now, ethnicity is not my favourite part of DNA testing. As the book says, it's the least genealogically useful part, but even so, there have been 2 updates. This was my ethnicity estimate back when I was writing the book. 53% Ireland, Scotland, Wales, 32% Great Britain, etc. And you can see that my genetic communities here are really quite broad, Scotland and Ulster only. And this was based on a reference set of around 3,000. And the 2 updates that we've had, August 2018, August 2019, some people have actually just been getting their update in the last couple of days. The most recent one, it first went up to 16,000 in the reference population set, and this recent one it's 40,000. And this is what it looks like now for me. I've gone up to 83% Ireland and Scotland. I've gained some. Woohoo! Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's 100% because every single one of my lines on my tree goes back to either Ireland or Scotland. I can't go anywhere else with them. So I think that's getting more accurate. But as my friend in the audience here, Donna, likes to say to people, pick the ethnicity estimate you like the best. So I'm liking the 83 more than I'm liking the 53. But the key thing that I like the most are the genetic communities have got a bit more granular. I've now got Scottish Central Lowlands and sub-regions in Ulster, Tyrone, Londonderry, Antrim, South Down and North Louth. And this is very accurate for me. I do have ancestors certainly from Scottish Central Lowlands and from Derry, Antrim and Down. And again, 40,000 is this new update, reference samples. So other new features that have come along. New and improved DNA Matches platform. This came out earlier this year, and it gives us 24 colour-coded groups to work with to organise our matches and some new filters. It puts the notes on the main match list, although they're truncated, but you can still use MedBetter DNA if you don't want them to be truncated. Through Lines is a new tool that came along and replaced the DNA circles. My tree tags, there's a new profile page, there's going to be new messaging, although it's not quite rolled out, and there's a new relationship probability chart, a little bit like the Shared CM project. So we'll just have a quick look at a few of these features. Obviously the colour-coded groups, one of my favourites. You can call them whatever you want, you can organise things with all of the different colours, and once you're using them, this is what it looks like. The colours will be there on the right-hand side. It also tells you your entire number of matches, 58,765, so I need a little bit more time to try and look at all of those, never going to happen. And also pages are gone, so if you want to look at the bottom ones, you're just going to have to scroll and scroll and scroll. The best way to look at your new matches is actually using one of the new filters, the matches you haven't viewed yet, because that gives you your highest new matches to look at, so that's what I use on a daily basis. And also common ancestors, that's the old shared ancestor hints. They're now called common ancestors instead. And in order to generate them and the through lines, you have to link a tree to your results. Come in, come in. My tree tags is another great organisational tool that's been added. Now the tree that you've got linked to your DNA results, you can add all sorts of DNA match tags. There's 3 main ones. The main one you might want is to use this DNA match one. Whenever you have a new match that you add to your tree, you can tag them with the DNA match tag, and you'll be able to find all of your DNA matches using a filter. Through Lines. So Through Lines looks at all of the trees on the Ancestry website and tries to generate hints for you as to how your DNA matches might be related to you. So you can actually turn it on the tree you've got linked to your DNA results using this little DNA icon there. We're just going to look at one through line for my third great grandfather, James Colquhoun. And this is telling me that this match down here, Megan, is related to me via my second great grandmother Isabella Colquhoun's sister. But of course Megan has a private tree, and this is something that wasn't around when I wrote the book. It's looking at the private searchable trees as well as the public ones. Now everybody there, it says private all the way, so I want to evaluate that. Evaluate is the key term here when you're talking about through lines. Never ever look at it and think, oh that's great, and add it to your tree. Some of them will be wrong, some of them will be right. You have to do the due diligence on it and evaluate everything. So here I want to evaluate who is the sister of Isabella that is on this line. Can I find out? Well, I can by using that evaluate. I can look and it tells me that Megan has a private tree, but if I look at it, because that person is deceased, it's telling me who it is. Annie Colquhoun, born in 1879, so now I know it's Isabella's sister Annie. And I can repeat this process for the other privates, so long as they're also deceased. And this will help me work out, is this line correct, is it not correct? And it turns out this one is correct. But that doesn't mean that that piece of DNA I share with Megan definitely came from this line. It might not. But it does tell me that she is my cousin in the paper trail at the very least. Key point for through lines, as I say, treat them as hints, clues, always evaluate. And there's the new DNA relationship table. This is my dad's cousin Anne, so she's my first cousin once removed. On the individual match page, it's telling me we share 337 centimorgans. If I click on that now, I get a table, a chart, quite like the Shared CM project, with the probabilities of the relationships that I might share with Anne, including at 53%, first cousin once removed, which is what she is. Quickly, 23andMe. Now, the key problem with 23andMe over the last few years has been a lack of trees, a lack of tree facilities. And they've come out in the last few months with two new updates on this front. First of all, they have a link with Family Search, where you can add your Family Search tree to your 23andMe profile if you have one or if you build one. And it's very quick and easy to do this. And when you do it, anyone who's done this, you'll see the grandparents, great-grandparents, etc., whatever they have in their Family Search tree, you'll be able to access from 23andMe, and then you can go through and look at them on the Family Search tree as well. But I think this is going to be superseded by their even newer automated family tree, which is in beta at the moment. And this has just come out in the last month or two. And what this is doing is it's trying to build a family tree in an automated way using the DNA matches. So it's really good at identifying, different sides, people who should be from the same grandparents, for example. So in this line here, it's identifying these three people down here, Bradley, Rusty, Andrea. They should be on my mother's side via one of my great-grandparents. And that's actually correct. And I can then go in and add in, if I know the right great-grandparent, I can go and add them into the tree. And I actually do know who these people are and which great-grandparent they relate through. So that's going to evolve over time. It's very new, and there's lots of new features to come with it. My heritage, there's been a couple of new things over the last year. The theory of family relativity, which is basically their through lines. So if we look at it here, it's also looking at all the trees on my heritage, and it's trying to give you hints on how your DNA matches are related to you. Here, it's decided that Howard is my second cousin, with a 94% confidence level, because we have the same set of great-grandparents in our trees. Now this is an accurate theory of family relativity. This, however, is not, and that's the key. You have to be very, very careful, evaluate, etc. So here's my third great-grandmother, Jane Jameson, and this one says 71% confidence she was married to James McMaster, and she was also married to David Golly at the same time, having children with both men at the same time in the same years. Now, clearly, there's another Jane Jameson out there who was living around about the same time period, and the algorithm is mixing the two of them up. It's very easy to work out what's going wrong there. Autoclusters is another major MyHeritage tool that's come out in the last year, and clustering has become a really big thing since we did the writing for the book. And basically what it's doing is it's looking at all the matches and pulling together matches that share with each other into a colour-coded cluster. So all these people in the red cluster are likely to share a common ancestor somewhere back in time, and you might, if you're able to identify a few of them, work out what that common ancestral line is, probably will be. FTDNA, well, there hasn't been an awful lot on the autosomal front in the last year, it has to be said, but they have given themselves a makeover. So there's a new dashboard. You can add some quick links at the top here, but in terms of what you get with the Family Finder test and what you can see on the match page and the chromosome browser and the like, it is just a makeover more than anything new. Living DNA, well, we've been waiting quite a while for living DNA to become useful in any way for genetic genealogy. We're still waiting, really. The matching database really hasn't taken off yet. But they too have given themselves a makeover. They have this new portal now, which has just come out in the last week or two. And the key thing I want to point out about this is that if you've been sitting back on uploading other tests that you may have done, because you would have to create a new account, an email address and all of these different things, they've now made it much easier to upload DNA to the one account. So if you have the permission of the testers, of course, it's now a lot easier to just go in, say it's someone else, and put the details in. It just takes a couple of minutes. And they're also allowing you to get the sub-regional ethnicity estimate for £29 for the uploads, which is cheaper than buying a new test. So if that is something that you were interested in doing anyway, then it might be better to do an upload and then pay the smaller fee. Third-party tools, very quickly, there's GEDmatch. Now lots and lots has been going on with GEDmatch over the last year, and we'd be here all night and into the next few weeks if I stood here and went over everything that's been happening, especially with the law enforcement issue and the opt-in database. I would just urge people to read up on it themselves, make their own minds up, and whatever you're doing with GEDmatch, so long as you are feeling comfortable with that, that's the key point. DNA Painter has had some new tools added. There's some great tree options on there now, and a bit of a facelift as well. DNA GEDCOM, the people behind that, have also created Genetic Family in the last year, which is worth a look. And the DNA GEDCOM client has had an upgrade. Genome Mate Pro has had slight upgrades. And Genetic Affairs is the clustering tool, which you might want to have a look at as well, which has come around in the last year. For more on third-party tools, you can watch my guide to third-party tools on the Legacy webinars, and that's it.
We'll take, if there's just a couple of questions, maybe just now, if there's any pressing questions.
Any Autosomal questions?
I've got
Yeah.
a question. One of them, was it 23andMe?
Yes.
It was linked to
Family
Family
search.
Search. See the second thing you showed, is that also linked to Family Search?
No, that is completely 23andMe's
Right.
own trees facility. It's not linked to anything outside the 23andMe site.
Okay, thanks.
This is just a question to see if I'm missing something.
Okay.
I was on GEDmatch, now I'm on GEDmatch Genesis, and I can't find anyone's tree.
Okay, GEDmatch Genesis is gone. Doesn't
Well,
exist
what's the thing
anymore.
I'm looking at then, that
They've-
there used to be a site where there was the tree, you could click on people's trees.
Okay.
Now that's gone in all of the columns, or am I just missing something?
I think you must be talking about something else. On GEDmatch you can upload a GEDCOM, and other people can upload GEDCOMs and you can search them. But that's always been there. It was on the
Yeah,
original.
it was on the original.
Genesis, and now it's just gone back to calling itself GEDmatch.
Is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
well that's what I'm on, and there used to be a little thing you clicked on and it's not there. I just,
Not
no.
sure
If
what.
you-
I'm missing something, because
If
you
you,
look.
if you use the free table, there are fewer columns,
Uh-huh.
so they want to raise more money by charging subscriptions, and you see more columns in the table, and then you do see the GEDCOM column.
So
The free one you don't
maybe
see
the
anymore.
Wikitree links
Oh,
and
Yes,
that kind of
exactly,
thing
yeah.
that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
they've gone unless you pay. Is
If
that
you
what
pay,
it is?
that's right, yeah.
So I'm
I'm
tight.
not sure
is
if
that
they're
what
on
it
the
is?
free table or not.
Because up here, there's a watch
Yeah.
TV.
You can get them.
You can get to them,
Click
yeah.
them differently now.
Right, okay. I'm seeing them, so, and I'm not using tier one all the time, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
what the issue is there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can still see them without tier one. I don't think they're tier
There's
one.
two
Depends
one
which
to
table you
many,
use, there's two versions.
There's,
Yeah.
maybe it's the non-beta one-to-many
Yeah.
that you can't
Yeah.
see it on,
The
because there's
big
fewer
one.
columns, but if you use the beta one-to-many, which isn't tier one, you should be able to see
Oh,
those, okay?
right.
But that's in the left, that's in the right-hand
Right.
side column,
Okay.
as opposed to just clicking on a kit number. If you
Yeah,
click on a kit number, where all your kit numbers
Yeah.
are loaded, that will take you to the non-beta version, which has the fewer columns.
I'm going to the beta bit.
So
Thank
go
you.
to the beta version and it
Sorry.
should be there. It's definitely not a tier one thing. Alright. Anything else?
Beta version of it, isn't it?